Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to tackle something that, well, it affects every single one of us. Conflict. And we're going to look at it through a really unique lens, exploring the radical roadmap for resolution that Jesus provided.
Okay, so let's just dive right in by acknowledging a universal truth, right? Conflict is an inevitable and, yeah, often painful part of life. I mean, think about it. Families, friendships, work, it touches all of us, and it hurts for some very specific reasons.
You know, at its core, conflict often hits with this gut punch of betrayal. When it comes from someone we trust, it doesn't just sting, it can shake the very ground we're standing on.
And right on the heels of that betrayal, that's usually when a surge of powerful, raw emotion shows up. Anger can feel like a fog, just clouding our judgment, pushing us to say or do things we almost immediately wish we could take back.
And this is the real danger. When you let it fester, conflict creates this painful division. It builds walls between people, walls that can last for years, sometimes even a lifetime.
But what if there's a different way to handle all this? The Bible offers a framework for navigating these moments, and believe it or not, it starts somewhere surprising, not with our words or our actions, but inside, with our own hearts.
The approach is really a clear, four-step process for this internal prep work. Think of it like a spiritual pregame to make sure we're actually ready for real healing and to avoid making a bad situation even worse.
And that whole process begins with a single powerful action, just pausing. Before reacting, before planning your defense, the guidance is to stop and seek a higher perspective. This step is all about inviting wisdom in, to steer us away from our own pride or anger.
The second principle, this one goes right after the fuel for most conflicts, our own pride. It's a call for humility. And let's be really clear, this isn't about weakness. It's about having the strength to actually listen and value another person's point of view, which is the only real path to understanding.
And here we get to the absolute foundation of it all, forgiveness. Now, this is not about pretending the hurt didn't happen. It's about making a conscious choice to free ourselves from the poison of bitterness. It's a command, for sure, but it's also this profound gift that we give ourselves. So, okay, we have these powerful principles. Seek wisdom, embrace humility, pursue forgiveness. But what does that actually look like in real life? For that, we can turn to the ultimate model, Jesus himself. Let's explore how he handled conflict with friends, with enemies, and even his own persecutors. So first, let's look at his conflict with a close friend. Peter, one of his most trusted disciples, publicly denied even knowing him 3 times in his moment of greatest need. I mean, it is hard to imagine a more painful betrayal from a friend.
But look at what happened next. After the resurrection, Jesus didn't shame Peter. He didn't rub it in his face. Instead, he met that failure with grace and restored him to a position of leadership. He showed Peter that his promise to be with him was stronger than his worst mistake. He chose to save the relationship, not win the argument.
Okay, but what happens when the betrayal isn't a moment of weakness? What if it's a deliberate act of malice? You can contrast Peter's story with Judas, the disciple who sold Jesus out for 30 pieces of silver.
Here, Jesus' response is different. He addresses the conflict head-on, but with this calm truth, not with heated emotion. By exposing the plot, he gives Judas one last, clear chance to turn back. He speaks the hard truth in love, and he puts the responsibility for what happens next squarely on Judas's shoulders.
And finally, we get to what is maybe the most profound example of conflict resolution in history: Jesus' response to the people who unjustly accused, tortured, and crucified him.
In the face of the absolute ultimate betrayal and just excruciating pain, his response wasn't a cry for vengeance or even for justice. It was a prayer for their forgiveness. This is the absolute peak of loving your enemies in action. This incredible example, it isn't just a story. It's the foundation for a playbook Jesus taught his followers, a playbook that consistently flips our natural human instincts right on their head.
A perfect example of this is the parable of the prodigal son. You see 2 totally different mindsets here. The older brother, He's all about fairness and justice. He thinks his brother should have to earn his way back. But the father, he isn't focused on the rules. He's focused on the relationship. He just wants his son home.
And Jesus makes this principle crystal clear with maybe his most radical command, to love our enemies. And he defines what that means. It's not a suggestion to just feel nice about them. It's a command to take specific actions, actively do good for them, bless them, and pray for them. It's about loving the person, even while you condemn their actions. So, when you put all of this together, you see a really clear path from conflict to reconciliation. And yeah, it is incredibly difficult, but the key takeaway is that it's possible. This isn't just some nice idea. It's a journey that has been walked before.
Think about the story of Jacob and Esau. Decades after Jacob tricked his father and stole his brother's birthright and blessing, they were about to have a reunion. Jacob was terrified. He was expecting a violent fight, because Esau was coming to meet him with 400 men. But what happened next is just stunning. After decades of anger and resentment, Esau had every right to get his revenge. Instead, he chose reconciliation. He ran to embrace the very brother who had stolen his future, and years of bitterness were just washed away in a single moment of grace.
And that is the ultimate goal. It's not about winning an argument. It's not about proving you were right. It's about mending what has been broken. It's about pursuing the restoration of a relationship, reflecting the same grace that we've been shown.
And all of this brings us to a final, pretty challenging question. See, applying these principles isn't about solving all the world's problems overnight. It starts with one small, humble step in our own lives. So the question for us is this: who in your life needs your reconciliation, not your resentment?